Patrol Officer Megan Hall, Patrol Officer Juan Lugo Perez, Sergeant Lewis Powell, Detective Seneca Shields, and Sergeant Henry Ty McGowan. 3 others have been suspended: K-9 Officer Larry Holliday, Patrol Officer Patrick Magliocco, and Patrol Officer Gavin Schulberg.
She belongs to the street.
All right, guys. So in this episode of women refusing to take responsibility for their actions because apparently they're allergic to accountability, we got to talk about Miss Megan Hall once again, okay? Who is the cop that, got fired after having a choo-choo operation ran on her by her fellow male police officers, and also allegedly having threesomes and menage a trois and all types of other things too with their spouses as well too. And I had to tell you, she didn't discriminate, right? She did not discriminate at all, okay? She likes all kinds of men, okay? She definitely had jungle fever and most certainly believed in diversity and inclusion, okay? Maybe a little bit too much, that's for sure. And I'm pretty sure they thanked her for her cervix after the job was done, okay? Because she was a real team player, okay? They had a whole lot of team bonding on the job, right? Okay, especially considering how we have footage of her skills, okay? Let's just say she's a natural. We're gonna get into some of the allegations because again, the allegations are important, and the things that she's actually admitted to are important, especially in response to a new lawsuit that she has filed, a federal lawsuit, in which she accuses her supervisors at her department of sexually grooming her, right? Sexually grooming her. Okay, this is what she's accusing them of. Okay, she's basically saying that it's not really her fault. Basically, she was exploited, right? Which again, I thought it'd be absolutely fascinating, okay? And again, another example of women refusing to take accountability for their actions. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and roll the clip of her and her lawyer speaking on this issue and giving their side of the story. Take a look.
Well, a federal lawsuit targets the city of Laverne in the wake of a police department sex scandal. Megan Hall was the only female among the 5 officers fired and then became the target of nationwide ridicule.
Tonight, Hall's lawyer tells News Channel 5's Nick Barris what happened was inexcusable.
And now they're suing over what they call a hostile, sexually charged work environment that victimized a rookie officer.
Megan Hall was one of 5 officers, along with the Laverne police chief, fired last month for allegations of sexual misconduct on the job. But it was Hall, the only female and just into her 2nd year on the force, who became the face of the sexual scandal.
These predators, starting from day one, worked to break down her psychological barriers and convince her to engage in sexual activity that she didn't want to.
Attorney Wesley Clark, flanked by his client Hall, talked about the federal lawsuit they've filed naming the city of Laverne, former Sergeant Lewis Powell, former Sergeant Henry Ty McGowan, and former Police Chief Burrell Chip Davis. The lawsuit alleges the supervisors, quote, groomed Hall for sexual exploitation.
Megan wasn't looked at like a rookie cop to be trained and promoted. She was looked at as a piece of meat to be sexualized and exploited.
The lawsuit stems from a police department scandal involving sexual misconduct both on and away from the job involving officers. There are no criminal charges. There are going to be those who say these are consenting adults and she's trying to place the blame elsewhere.
Well, yeah, it's really easy to think that whenever you don't understand the full story.
Clark says Hall said no on several occasions, but her supervisors kept pushing until she gave in. Racked by depression to the point of considering suicide, the lawsuit says when Hall tried to end the sexual conduct, threats were made against her.
That should be disgusting and outrageous to everyone who reads this case and understands the truth of what happened here.
The city of Laverne declined to comment on the pending litigation. Nick Barris, News Channel 5.
Thanks, Nick. By the way, you saw Megan Hall sitting there with her attorney while he spoke, but she talked as well about the environment on the job at the Laverne PD.
He constantly made sexual comments towards me, making unwanted physical contact towards me in front of others.
Yeah, Hall talked at length with Nick. You can watch for that exclusive interview on News Channel 5 this coming Wednesday.
All seriousness. I mean, is anybody buying this? Seriously, is anybody buying this, oh, woe is me, I'm a victim, after all this information has come out about what this woman was doing on the job? Is anybody really buying that, oh, I was Me Too, right? I was forced into this. I don't think anybody's buying it, but let's read about it here. The Tennessee cop fired over numerous sexual romps with other officers, claims in a new federal lawsuit that superiors in her department sexually groomed her for the risqué escapades. Megan Hall, 26, who blamed a troubled marriage for her randy affairs, claims she felt trapped and exploited in the midst of the all-male ranks of the Laverne Police Department, according to her 51-page federal complaint filed Monday. Quote, where Ms. Hall sought role models at her new job, she instead found predators, the lawsuit says. In a place of offering professional development, her supervisors and the chief of police groomed her for sexual exploitation. They concluded in using their authority to systematically disarm her resistance and entrap her in degrading and abusive sexual relationships, even sharing tips on the best ways to manipulate and exploit her. The lawsuit claims Hall, who had a history of mental illness, felt trapped, and in an attempt to escape, she nearly deleted herself. Yeah, so again, I don't doubt that she has, some type of mental, condition. I mean, considering what she was into, right? You would think that people that would be into what she was allegedly into would have some type of issues going on, right? But I don't think that that's an excuse here, okay? She probably should have never been a police officer in the first place. But let's read more. Hall was fired in January after word of the steamy sex escapades with 5 other officers became public, with those officers also terminated from the department. In an interview during an internal investigation, the young cop admitted she performed sex acts on duty and on police property and had a threesome with one cop and his wife. Now, again, I'm trying to explain, how can you be groomed into having threesomes with one cop and his wife? I don't understand. I don't really understand how are you playing the victim card here when clearly, right, it seems like, according to her own testimony, that she was a willing participant in these acts, okay? I'm just saying, this to me seems like her trying to get out of it. Look, if you want to get some money, okay, you already got a career ahead of you, right? Just do OnlyFans. Do what you love, right? Because we know you love it, allegedly, I don't know. But do what you love. You're going to get a ton of people that's going to sign up. You're going to be a millionaire overnight. I don't understand going down this path of trying to sue this town, okay, this the police department, for something that, again, clearly, in my opinion, based off the information that we know, again, was consensual, right? It was something that you willingly participated in. In her federal lawsuit, Hall, who was 24 when she first applied for the job on the force in 2020, claimed she first became sexually involved with Sergeant Lewis Powell early last year. Quote, Sergeant Powell learned that Ms. Hall was going through the process of buying a home with her husband and that this process was extremely taxing on their relationship, the lawsuit said. Sergeant Powell positioned himself as a reliable source of companionship and advice regarding Ms. Hall's career and her marriage. Yeah, so again, I'm not sure if this is an excuse for Ms. Hall to allow Sergeant Powell to throw his hot dog down her hallway, right? Just because she wanted some career, advice or whatever, okay? And because he wanted some companionship. Again, stuff like this happens all the time in corporate America, okay? And I'm just not buying this, oh, I felt like I was groomed or, exploited or whatever. I'm just not buying it. Sergeant Powell persisted in requests for sex despite Ms. Hall's resistance. It said eventually Ms. Hall gave in to Sergeant Powell's request for sexual favors. Again, you said no. You resisted. Again, if you eventually say yes, again, I'm not saying exactly what the issue is here. You consented. It didn't sound like he made a threat, right? He didn't threaten to fire you. He didn't threaten to take away your career. He didn't hit you. He didn't beat you. So again, I'm trying to figure out where's the exploitation here, right? You guys help me figure out. Maybe I'm missing something. I'm trying to figure out where is this woman being exploited, okay? She said when she tried to break off the affair, Powell threatened to delete himself. Hall said the exploitative sexual relationship with Powell led to other sexual encounters involving other Laverne cops, Harry Holliday, Patrick Meglico, Ty McGowan, Juan Lugo Perez, Gavin Schroborough, and Detective Seneca Shields. Powell, Lugo Perez, McGowan, and Shields were fired over the sex escapades. The other cops kept their jobs but were suspended. Earlier this month, Laverne Police Chief Borough Chip Davis was also fired. Hall claims the chief encouraged this behavior and shared in the adult content and sexual fantasy of mutually abusing Ms. Hall with his trusted supervisor, Ty McGowan. So she recorded, right? It sounds like they made adult content out of it as well, too. Again, you consented to that? Were you down with that, right? I mean, I'm just saying, like, to me, there's a whole lot of things going on here, okay? You involved in sexual encounters with multiple people. Allegedly, it was recorded, okay? It was something the whole department was in on. Again, I'm just trying to figure out what's going on here. I'm trying to figure out where's the exploitation. This sounds like consenting adults to me. She said Davis once asked to come into his office to dance for him, tried to get her to agree to lunch dates, and describe her clothing as hot girl summer-ish. Wow. The lawsuit filed in U.S. District Courts in the Middle District of Tennessee names the city of Laverne, Powell, McGowan, and Davis as defendants. It seeks an unspecified amount of damages for lost wages, medical expenses, mental suffering, emotional distress, and reputational harm. A spokeswoman for Laverne declined to comment on Tuesday and told the Post that the city does not comment on pending litigation. Yeah, so y'all tell me, man. Y'all tell me, do y'all think this woman was actually exploited? Or do you think this is 100% consensual, right? Do you think she's pulling the victim card to try to get out of this, right? Because, I mean, clearly it seems like she was a willing participant. But, you know, hey, I don't know, okay? I don't know. I'm just not buying it. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.